Hello, friends and fans. This is Sam King Davis from Famous When I'm Dead podcast. I want to do a New Year's message. I know it's a little late, but I wanted to get one out there anyway because you all have been a very valuable and vital resource for me to help me get through the last year. It's been a rough year for all of us. I've been inspired by a lot of the things that I've seen in the caricature community and the art community and in my local community here, in my inner circle here. Just been really impressed by how people have taken such a difficult year and adapted and learned new things and grown maybe more than they would have grown without all of this struggle. So if you made it to this point and if you're watching this video, there's a tremendous amount to be grateful for. We made it through probably the hardest part, hopefully, and we have a lot to look forward to in this next year. I know I do. I discovered a lot about myself. I got diagnosed with ADHD. I started a new company. I started this podcast, so that's awesome. That's been a real joy to be able to meet and talk with so many awesome artists, and I look forward to continuing that in the following year. I have some other big news on the horizon, which I won't get into now, but it's in the works right now. Some of you that are watching this probably already know about it because you're helping me work on it. So thank you just for being so strong and adaptable and open and vulnerable about the struggles. We in the first world countries have just so much to be grateful for. I know for me, I've struggled with the emotional and the psychological aspect of it, but I've had enough money, and that's saying a lot more than a lot of people can. I've had money saved up to get us through it. The reality is that we have food in our refrigerator, we have our rent paid, we have a warm, safe place to call home, and most importantly, we have love and support of one another. So my heart goes out to really the people who don't have that stuff and are who suffering even harder with that. So in this video, I want to give you a few tools, suggestions, and considerations that you can use to make it through the year and get things done that you need to get done that you might not necessarily want to do, and also make plenty of room and space for the things that you really love to do. The first thing is focusing on what we can change and setting aside the things that we can't change and taking a positive, accepting attitude to those things. The second thing is having new month's resolutions instead of New Year's resolutions and having a community or a buddy that helps you stay accountable to get through those 1 month resolutions. And the third thing is getting out of the cycle of self-help books and philosophy and getting into the cycle of action using some simple tools that I'll describe in just a moment. So, first point, focusing on what we can change. A lot of people know the serenity prayer. It goes, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I can't change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Basically, what I can't change is anybody but myself. It's pretty simple. I kind of imagine a hula hoop around me, and that's about my area and my influence of control there. I think it's important for me personally, I can speak from my own experience, just to focus on going inside and dealing with the inside issues, dealing with my own life in my small circle. Yes, I reach out to people for help. I offer my help to people who might need that. So I'm not completely, self-isolated or self-absorbed, but I do have to realize that the only person that can make decisions for me is me. Can I help? Can I offer advice? Can I offer my own experience? Yeah. But for me, that means there's things that I need to do. I have to wake up and I have a meditation and a yoga routine I do in the morning. I have support groups I go to. I have exercises that I do. I have a schedule that I do my best to adhere to. So, and there's also inventory and personal work that I do to try to get more emotionally sober and emotionally stable. I read philosophy to try and give myself the right perspective on life. The second thing is having new month's resolutions instead of New Year's resolutions. One of the strategies that I use, and I actually learned this from the caricature resolution, was that I could probably do something for 30 days. So what I do every year is I make month resolutions. I don't make New Year's resolutions. I make new month resolutions. And I'm doing pretty well with the caricature resolution. If you'll notice that there's a huge community of people supporting each other and sharing, so that makes it easier to fulfill that new month resolution. It takes 30 days to make a habit, so if you can make it through a month, then you have much better chances of applying these tools that you're actually learning. So what I've done this year, a shout out to my buddy Chance McGee, Instagram at Chance McGee Kunst. We have become accountability partners. So every week we send each other 7 major tasks that need to get done that week and how long they'll take estimated. That's an important part. And we also each have a daily practice that we do that we stay accountable. So each day we send each other a message that says, okay, I got my dailies done today. And then at the end of the week, we have a very business-like, brief, no more than 10-minute phone call talking about the tasks that we did get done, the tasks that we didn't get done, and maybe some new things that came in. For me, I've limited myself to 2 hours on this caricature resolution. So the whole drawing, sketching process and the sculpting process is 2 hours or less because I have other stuff to do in my life. So it's good to know how much time something is going to take you each day in order to develop that habit. So the third thing I want to talk about is this concept of the illusion of progress. There's a video that I watched, and I'm going to put the video in the link below, but it's a great video. It's 15 minutes, I think, and what he talks about is the illusion of progress and the dangers and traps of this self-help culture. And I think the reason I related to this video so much is because I've always been kind of a self-help addict. You know, I've read so many books on self-help and different tools that I can use to apply in my life and just get ahead and get ahead of the curve and win and really succeed in the traditional sense of succeeding, meaning money and prestige and property. But here's the trap, okay? When we read a self-help book, it feels good. And it feels good because we're learning something that we might be able to apply in our life. And it gives us a sense of hope. Well, there's a saying, faith without works is dead. And what happens is when a lot of us read self-help books, we get that good fuzzy feeling, we put the book down, and we forget about these tools and we don't apply them. Then the fuzzy feeling wears off, and we reach for another book, and the cycle continues. So for those of you out there who are in that category that can relate to that, it's an interesting topic that's come up this year, and I thought I would share that with you and share that video with you in the links below, just to be careful about that, about getting knowledge and feeling good about getting the knowledge and not applying it. Many people have their own definition of success, and I want to share my definition of success with you because I don't know about you, but I push myself way too hard. I don't accept mistakes very easily from myself. And basically what I'm doing is I'm looking for external accomplishments and external things to fix an inside problem. And that never works. I have friends that have the experience of getting everything that they wanted and they're still not happy. So my definition of success is doing the very best you can with what you have. I think that's a pretty healthy definition of success. I was born in a certain town to a certain family with certain genetics, and I was raised in a certain way with certain traumas and abuses and levels of poverty that I went through and I grew through, and I think that with all of those things considered, I've been pretty successful. That's coming from the love and the help that people have given me, and the suggestions that people have given me, and the space that people have given me to grow. I think that the biggest growth area for me is when people create a safe space. People in my life have created a safe space for me to fall and get back up again, and they pat me on the back and they say, keep going. It's not a place where people pick me back up. They allow me to crawl back to my feet and learn that way. So if your definition of success is something other than that, I'd be interested to hear from you in the comments below. But for me, that definition is really important, because for this perfectionist, for this person who is hyper vigilant and overachieving, in order to get a sense of self-worth or self-esteem, and while completely ignoring the work that needs to be done on the inside, the fact that I've done pretty damn well with the cards that I was dealt is comforting for me, and it's also motivating for me to keep moving forward and keep controlling what I do have control over. As I mentioned, and I don't want to get into it too much in this video, but I have recently been professionally diagnosed with ADHD. I want to mention a couple of things that I use that help me to stay organized, that you don't have to have ADHD to use these things, but they really help me to keep myself organized, and they help me to take all of these things and ideas that I have in my head and put them out of my head so I can focus on the task that's in front of me. I use an application called Ike. Ike is a priority matrix. Priority matrix divides tasks that need to be done into 4 categories: do now, schedule, delegate, and postpone. I try to use it on a daily and weekly basis because it helps to, again, clear out my head and keep things in categories so I know what the priority is. With my brain, prioritizing things is one of the difficult things, especially if there's something new and shiny and exciting in front of me. The next thing I want to advocate, and my own experience helps a lot, is just a timer. At least with ADHD brains, it's very typical that we don't have a very good sense of timing. We're not able to lay things out in a timeline over a long period of time. We tend to get things done really at the last minute because then that's exciting and the pressure's on and the adrenaline's pumping, and then we can get it done. Especially things that are not interesting to us. And what I do is I give myself 45-minute slots. And what I'll do is I'll turn off the social media, I'll turn off the internet if I don't need it, and I'll set the timer for 45 minutes, and for that 45 minutes I'll focus. And then the next part, which is very important, is I'll take a 10-minute break. This 10-minute break is usually some breathing exercise that I do, or maybe I grab a bite to eat, or make a tea and just relax, whatever it is to kind of recharge that battery. The timer really helps with keeping on task. The last thing I want to recommend is a book called Money Drunk, Money Sober. This book has been tremendously helpful, and I would say even life-changing, in the sense that it gave me an idea of the psychology behind why I'm not good with money, or I wasn't good with money. And it gave me actionable steps and a plan to put into action in my life to make that change. It deals with the emotional aspect of money and the kind of unconscious behaviors around it. I also downloaded an app in conjunction with this book. It's not connected to the book, but I did it at the same time I was reading it. It's called Spending Tracker. This app is basically an app that helps you to keep track of everything that you spend and everything that goes into your account and everything that goes out. It's very simple. There's a lot more complicated apps out there, and if you want to get into that, you can. For me, I had to keep it simple and basic. I've been using it for about 4 years, and I actually credit that book, what I learned in that book, and the way I was able to apply it with the spending tracker and journaling in order to allow me to save enough money to get myself, Kate, and our little dog all the way through this pandemic without having to panic about money. And that's a pretty big deal. It's been a year. I've been unemployed for almost a year now, and I still have some money saved up. So I would highly recommend that if you have trouble with money right now, or you continue to struggle with being unconscious or unaware of what's going on in your financial life. So recapping, the first thing, focus on what you can change and try to have a healthy attitude of what you can't change and learn to accept that. Second thing is, instead of making a new year's resolution, make a new month resolution and make sure that you have an accountability partner and you're very specific about your goals. Clarity breeds mastery. And the third thing is, get out of the self-help cycle. Learn how to take the tools that you already know and apply them. Faith without works is dead, and knowledge without action is only knowledge. If you really want to be productive this year, if you really want to get the things done that you want to get done and that you need to get done, there are some tools that you can use. Do not be afraid to reach out and ask people for help or to be accountability buddies. You'd be surprised at how many of your friends are probably struggling getting things done that they need to get done but don't want to get done, especially if you're an artist. You can leave a comment below on tools that you use that help for other people who are watching this video. And if you got value out of this video and you enjoy the artist interview series, Famous When I'm Dead, please support us on Patreon. The link is in the description below. We have different reward tiers, which I'll be reworking this year to make them a little bit more sweet. And this support really helps me to continue. I don't make any money off the podcast, and I spend a lot of time each week organizing and editing and finding good guests for you and offering critiques. And it is a service. It's something that I love to do, but it also helps if I have some money coming in and I can support the costs of doing that. Also, hit the subscription button and the notifications bell so you'll know when I make new videos. I come out with one every week, sometimes two every week, and I try to make the content as helpful and as interesting as possible. So let's all continue to do what we've been doing in the last year. Let's stick together. Let's support each other. Let's make it through this year. I think this is going to be a much brighter one. We have a fresh new year ahead. We've made it through the hardest time, and I'm really excited to see what everybody does. So I love you guys. Thank you for all the support. Happy 2021.